You know that feeling when you finish an anime and just sit there, staring at the ceiling, questioning your existence, and then you think, man, I wish I could lobotomize myself just enough to watch that again. Yeah, me too. See, there's a special breed of anime that you can only truly experience once. Not because they're bad on a rewatch, but because the first time you watch them, they perform psychological surgery on your brain. They twist your expectations, betray your trust, and leave you emotionally compromised in the best way possible. Today, we're counting down 10 anime that I would absolutely trade some questionable memories for, like my middle school haircut, or that time I called my teacher Mom, just to experience them blind again. And if you're the type of masochist who enjoys having your heart ripped out and handed back to you in a gift box, hit that subscribe button, because we're about to ruin your week. In a good way. Let's dive in. Coming in at number 10, we've got a show about a walrus driving a taxi. I know what you're thinking. Top 10 guy, did you have a stroke? But hear me out. Odd Taxi looks like a kids show that accidentally ended up on a noir crime channel. You've got anthropomorphic animals having the most human conversations you've ever heard in anime. It's like if Zootopia and Tarantino had a weird love child. The entire show is this slow burn mystery where every single conversation matters. There's a missing girl, a viral idol group, the Yakuza, and somehow it all connects through this deadpan walrus cabbie named Odokawa. The show is playing a very specific game with your perception from episode 1. Every piece of dialogue, every character interaction, every seemingly random detail, it all matters. And the final episode pulls off something that completely recontextualizes the way you've been watching the entire series. Once you know what the show is actually doing, re-watching becomes a treasure hunt for clues instead of a genuine mystery. You appreciate the craft differently, but that initial moment of realization, when everything clicks into place and your brain goes, wait, what? That only happens once. At number 9, we have a show that commits aesthetic catfishing. Oh look, a cute show about adorable kids exploring a magical hole in the ground. What could go wrong? Everything. Everything goes wrong. Made in Abyss is what happens when a Studio Ghibli movie gets possessed by H.P. Lovecraft. The art style screams wholesome adventure, but the content takes you somewhere completely different. This show uses its adorable art style as a weapon. The deeper these kids descend into the abyss, the darker the story becomes. And the curse of the abyss, the physical consequences of trying to ascend, gets progressively more horrifying with each layer. There are moments in this show that will make you audibly gasp. Character transformations that are genuinely disturbing. Moral choices that'll have you staring at the screen in disbelief. The show doesn't pull its punches just because the characters look cute. The first watch is this journey from wonder to dread, and you experience it alongside the characters. You're discovering the horrors of each layer at the same pace they are. On a rewatch, you're bracing for impact the whole time. That naive sense of adventure gets replaced with anticipation of trauma. Also, there's an elevator scene with music that will haunt you. If you know, you know. If you don't, Godspeed. Number 8 is the body swap rom-com that made the entire world cry. Your Name starts as the most charming, beautiful, I wish I lived in an anime experience. A Tokyo boy and a countryside girl swap bodies randomly. Hijinks ensue, you're smiling, the soundtrack slaps, everything is great. You settle in for a cozy romance with gorgeous animation. And then, Makoto Shinkai, the director, does what he does best. He emotionally devastates you. There's a moment roughly halfway through the film where the story takes a hard turn. The genre shifts. What you thought was a straightforward romance suddenly becomes something else entirely, and that cozy feeling gets replaced with urgency and dread. The brilliance of Your Name is how it uses your assumptions against you. You think you understand the rules of the world, the timeline, what kind of story this is. And then it reveals information that reframes everything you've watched. On a rewatch, you can spot all the clues Shinkai buried in the background, the subtle timeline inconsistencies, the visual hints. But that first viewing, when the rug gets pulled out from under you and you realize the true stakes of the story, that gut punch moment exists only once. Also, Radwimps might be the best soundtrack choice in anime film history. Fight me. Lucky number 7 goes to the anime that treats you like an adult and then punishes you for it. Shinsekai Yori, or From the New World, is a slow burn mystery set in a future where humans have psychic powers and live in a seemingly peaceful utopia. Except, why are there so many rules? Why do kids keep disappearing? And what's the deal with the monster rats, these ugly little creatures serving humanity? This show doesn't hold your hand. It drops you into this world and expects you to keep up. And as you follow these kids uncovering the blood-soaked history of their society, the picture that emerges is deeply unsettling. The society's rules, which seemed arbitrary at first, start making horrifying sense. The monster rats aren't just background creatures. Their role in this world becomes a central ethical nightmare. And by the end, you realize you've been complicit in things you didn't even understand. The final revelations recontextualize the entire show, but more than that, they recontextualize you. The show makes you examine your own moral assumptions and the justifications we make for systemic cruelty. It's the kind of anime that sits with you for months after you finish it. Watching it blind means you make the same moral journey as the protagonist. You discover the horror at the same pace. And that shared experience of dawning realization is what makes Shinsekai Yori so devastating. At number 6, we have the Destroy Your Will to Live simulator. Let me be clear, Clannad starts as a pretty standard high school romance with weird starfish girl energy. But After Story? After Story says, what if we followed these characters into adulthood and then broke you? Most anime end at graduation or a confession. After Story keeps going. Marriage, employment, parenthood, real life stuff. And then it keeps going further, into territory most anime are too afraid to touch. You spend 40 plus episodes with these characters. You watch them grow, make mistakes, build a life together. The show invests you so deeply in their happiness that you feel like you're part of the family. There's a specific arc in After Story, starting around episode 16, that has a legendary reputation for destroying people. The show spends all that time building up this warm, safe feeling, and then it teaches you about the fragility of happiness in the cruelest way possible. The emotional impact works because you genuinely don't believe the show will go there. It spent so much time being wholesome that when tragedy strikes, it feels unfair. It feels like a betrayal. And that's exactly why it hits so hard. Knowing what's coming lets you put up emotional walls. You brace yourself. And suddenly, instead of devastation, you get anticipated sadness. The catharsis requires vulnerability, and you can only be truly vulnerable once. Bring tissues. Several boxes. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this descent into emotional masochism, do me a favor and drop a like on this video. And comment which of these anime wrecked you the hardest. I need to know I'm not suffering alone. Alright, back to the pain. Sliding into number 5. Hey, let's watch a cute magical girl show. It was not cute. Madoka Magica is what happens when you give the writer of Fate Zero, a man known for trauma, a magical girl series. The art style is soft and pastel. The characters look like they belong on a lunchbox. It looks innocent. That's the trap. There's a moment early in the series where the show reveals its true nature, and it's not subtle about it. Something happens that makes you go, oh no, this is not what I signed up for. From that point on, Madoka Magica becomes a masterclass in subverting expectations. Every magical girl trope you think you know gets deconstructed. The power of friendship has consequences. Making wishes comes with horrifying costs. And the cute mascot character? Yeah, there's something deeply wrong there. The show also features these sequences called witch labyrinths, animated in this mixed media, paper cutout horror style, that are genuinely unsettling. They feel wrong in a way that's hard to articulate, but the real genius is in the character work. There's a character whose true motivations and backstory get revealed in episode 10, and it completely recontextualizes her behavior throughout the entire series. Suddenly, every cold interaction, every harsh word, every seemingly antagonistic moment takes on a completely different meaning. Watching it blind means experiencing that recontextualization in real time. Your understanding of the character transforms instantly, and it's genuinely heartbreaking. Knowing the truth from the start turns mystery into tragedy. Gen Urobuchi, you madman. Respect. Number 4 is the definition of a slow burn. 74 episodes. Post-Cold War Germany, a Japanese surgeon, a mysterious child, and the single most unsettling villain in anime history. Monster is a psychological thriller that asks, what is evil? Is it born or made? Dr. Tenma saves a boy's life, only to discover years later that this boy, Johann Liebert, has become something terrifying. Johann doesn't just kill people. He's far more insidious than that. He gets inside people's heads, identifies their psychological breaking points, and orchestrates their self-destruction. The horror of Monster is the unknown. For most of the series, Johann is barely on screen, but his presence haunts everything. You start building this image of him in your head, this almost mythological figure. Is he even human? Is he supernatural? How is one person capable of this? And as the show slowly peels back the layers, the 511 Kinderheim experiments, his childhood, the eugenics program, your understanding of Johan evolves. The nature of the horror shifts. What starts as fear of an unknowable monster becomes something more complex and somehow more disturbing. The first viewing lets you project your own nightmares onto Johan. He exists in that terrifying space of the undefined. Once you understand his psychology, once the mystery is solved, he becomes a different kind of antagonist. Still brilliant, but no longer unknowable. And it's that unknowability, that cold, existential dread of something you can't quite understand, that makes the first watch of Monster so uniquely powerful. The ending is also chef's kiss, ambiguous and haunting in all the right ways. The bronze medal goes to an absolute ride of a show. Giant mechs, political chess matches, high school drama, Pizza Hut product placement, Code Geass has everything. But the reason it's at number 3? The ending. Specifically, something called the Zero Requiem. For 2 seasons, you watch Lelouch, an exiled prince with the power to command absolute obedience, lead a rebellion against his tyrannical father. He's smart, charismatic, morally grey, and you're rooting for him. But as the series progresses, especially in the 2nd season, Lelouch starts making increasingly questionable decisions. He becomes more ruthless, more willing to sacrifice others, more isolated from the people who cared about him. And you start to wonder, is he still the hero? Has the power corrupted him? Did he lose sight of his original goals? The show deliberately cultivates this doubt. It makes you question whether you should still be rooting for this character. And then the finale happens. The finale of Code Geass is widely considered one of the most satisfying conclusions in anime history. It's an ending that reframes the entire 2nd season, that makes you reevaluate Lelouch's actions and motivations. It's an ending that earns its emotional weight, but only if you experience that doubt. Only if you genuinely question where Lelouch's arc is heading. Knowing the destination removes the moral ambiguity that makes the journey so compelling. Taking the silver medal, we have the show that started as humanity versus giant naked people, and became something vastly more complex. Attack on Titan is the definitive example of narrative expansion. It hooks you with high-octane action and a simple premise. Titans bad, humans good, let's kill the Titans. Simple, right? No. This show transforms genres multiple times over its run. It starts as an apocalyptic survival thriller, then it becomes a mystery box, then it becomes a political drama, then it becomes a war story, and the questions shift with each transformation. First you're asking, how do we survive the Titans? Then it's, what are the Titans? Then it's, what's outside the walls? And eventually, the questions become ethical rather than tactical. Who are the real enemies here? What is justice? Can this cycle ever be broken? The famous basement reveal, yeah, that moment, fundamentally changes your understanding of the entire world. Everything you thought you knew about the setting, the history, even the genre of story you're watching, it all shifts. Watching Attack on Titan blind is like living inside the walls with the characters. You're claustrophobic, confused, operating on the same limited information they have. Every revelation is genuinely shocking because you had no framework for it. Knowing the truth of the world from the start changes the entire viewing experience. The Titans transform from unknowable monsters into tragic figures. Character motivations that seem villainous become understandable. The horror becomes sadness. Both experiences have value, but you can only have that first experience, that genuine shock, that feeling of the world expanding beyond your comprehension, once. Also, props to Hajime Isayama for planning this from chapter 1. The foreshadowing is insane when you rewatch. And here we are. Number 1. The undisputed king of I wish I could erase my memory anime, Steins. This show is a masterclass in narrative structure and patience. It starts as a goofy slice of life about otaku culture, conspiracy theories, and a broken microwave that can somehow send text messages to the past. For about 11 episodes, it's deliberately slow. It's character building. It's establishing relationships. It's creating a sense of normalcy and safety in this little lab where these friends hang out. Some people drop it. Don't be those people. Because around episode 12, the show transforms, instantly, from a quirky comedy into a psychological thriller about time loops, determinism, and the crushing weight of fate. The tonal shift is whiplash. It's jarring, and it's completely intentional. The slow first half isn't wasted time, it's the foundation. It's making you care about these characters and their mundane daily lives. It's establishing what happiness looks like for them, so that when things go wrong, when the consequences of time travel come crashing down, it hurts. The show explores the concept of convergence, Events that seem destined to happen regardless of how you try to change them. And watching the protagonist desperately try to fight fate, try different approaches, fail repeatedly, it's agonizing in the best way. As a first-time viewer, you share protagonist Okabe's journey from ignorance to understanding to desperation. You don't know if there's a way out. You don't know if the universe is truly deterministic or if free will can triumph. The terror and hope are both genuine. On a rewatch, you know which attempts will fail. You know the path to the solution. You can appreciate the intricate plotting, the way every detail from the first half becomes important, the Chekhov's guns firing, but it becomes dramatic irony instead of shared desperation. Steins Gate's magic is that synchronization, your knowledge matching the protagonist's, your emotions mirroring his. You're both blind, both terrified, both hoping that there's a way to save everyone. And when you finally reach the Steins Gate timeline, the catharsis is earned. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it's why Steins Gate sits firmly at number 1. The curse of a great story is that you can only experience it truly once. Sure, you can rewatch and catch the foreshadowing, appreciate the craft, analyze the themes, but that first watch, that's magic you can't replicate. So if you haven't seen these yet, consider yourself blessed. Watch them blind. Avoid spoilers like your life depends on it. Turn off Google autocomplete. Mute keywords on Twitter. Block your friends if you have to. Go full blackout. Your future self will thank you. And hey, if you're looking for more anime recommendations, check out my video on 10 anime I regret not watching sooner next. Because apparently, I have commitment issues with good television. Thanks for watching. Now go forth and experience some narrative devastation. See you in the next one.